Welcome to City View. I'm Ben DeBolt. Recycling has been with us for some time now. Every other week we put out our brown crate of cans, glass, and plastic. We bag up our newspapers and we roll the big brown toter out to the curb. But do we do that at our workplace? Here to talk with us about an urgently needed business recycling project are Stephanie Kovacs, who is manager of Mile High Properties downtown. Welcome, Stephanie. Rafael Diaz on my left here, who is a manager at Printers Inc., and Jim Lebo, who is manager of Florentine Restaurants here and abroad. So welcome all of you to City View, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. Bonnie, in your words, we're here to talk trash. I like that, and as well said. Where should we start? Should we start with SMART?
Sure. Ben and I took Ben on a field trip to a facility that's owned by, in partnership with the cities of Mountain View, Sunnyvale, and Palo Alto. Some of you don't think about what happens to your garbage once they pick it up in your bin at your place of work or in your garbage can at home. And the SMART station is where the garbage is taken that's collected in Mountain View. So Ben and I went out there and he took some footage of the facility there and the types of things that happen when the garbage reaches that facility.
So that we're going to see that, and then also we'll go into the parking lot and we'll be looking at you in a dumpster. I think.
It's called dumpster diving.
Dumpster diving.
One of the hazards of the profession.
Okay. And I think if we can watch the monitors in there, we'll get an idea of what we're seeing now. Can you see them there, Bonnie?
Okay. Like I said, the SMART station is a facility that we invested in, the city of Mountain View invested in. All of the materials that are collected in Mountain View go to this facility. Facility now, and this is one of the businesses in Mountain View that is dumping a dumpster that's been collected at one of the businesses. This is a garbage dumpster, and you can notice how much cardboard and paper and stuff is in that dumpster. The pile that you see the closest to the front of the screen is those materials that have been brought in throughout the day. Then these materials are pushed by the bulldozer over and fed onto a conveyor line. The conveyor line goes up into equipment that is very technologically advanced and can mechanically pull out recyclable materials from the waste stream. The guys that you see standing there are pulling out any big pieces that they happen to notice before it goes up the conveyor belt. There are magnets that pull out the metals, and there's blowers that blow out plastic.
There's a jiggle sorter a little later.
Right, there's a jiggle sorter that divides the waste stream into big, cumbersome pieces and small pieces. There's equipment that mechanically opens the bags. Then these materials go into the sorting rooms. There's 2 sorting rooms, each with 2 lines, and that's the sorters are hand sorting materials that can't be mechanically sorted elsewhere in the system. So you can notice mostly that's newspaper, mixed paper, most of the paper products. You'll see that a lot of it is getting by them, and that's because once those materials are in the waste stream, they can get contaminated. From where they were...
If there's garbage or something.
Right.
Yeah.
It soils them. So this is underneath the sorting room. The bins that they were putting materials in are actually being dropped down into bunkers below, and they wait there for a baling. This is the shakers that Ben was talking about. We got there when we were on the tail end of a load here. But basically the shakers, the small materials fall are shaken down to a conveyor underneath that go into a separate sorting room. Bigger materials stay on the top.
I like the floor mat.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to look at the trash. Once we've picked everything that we can pick, it goes back up. What you see coming off of there is what is garbage and not able to be recovered. This material is then, compacted into a block and pushed into the back of these transfer trucks. Each transfer truck holds about 20 tons of garbage. We do that because the landfill that we have the contract to dispose the garbage is 25 miles away, so this is a more cost-effective way to transport that.
How many of these trucks go out every day?
After we have picked out all the recyclables we can at the station, we still send 45 of these trucks every day to the landfill. So those materials that we were able to pull out, we then process and get ready to go to market. So this is the aluminum.
I like that one because it blows the aluminum cans into the truck.
It blows it into the back of the truck. Here's some bales of different plastics. You can probably recognize soda bottles, and this is a paper bale. A lot of paper in the waste stream. It's probably 23%. This shows stacks, bales of paper that are waiting to go to the market. And also the Smart Station processes yard trimmings and wood waste. This shows the bulldozer is loading this into a transfer truck that takes the materials over to BFI in the southern tip of San Jose, where it's actually composted. However, residents can go to the Smart Station and get the ground yard trimmings, which is good for your compost pile, or you can actually just mulch it around your trees. It makes a good soil amendment.
You'd actually go out there and do that and make arrangements?
Right.
You gotta call them or something?
No, you can just show up.
Yeah.
Bring your own shovel.
Yeah.
So this
How old is that plant? It looks like a fairly new operation out there.
It's only about 3 years old now. So what I'm doing here is what we call dumpster diving in our industry. And this is a typical business dumpster. And by the way, this business has recycling. And look at all of the materials that are still in the dumpster that could have been sorted out by the business. And by sorting it out, you save money because your disposal costs go down. The city doesn't have to transport it, process it through all of the high-tech equipment at the Smart Station, and there's many benefits for the city and for the businesses. So one of the things that you need to do as you're anticipating setting up a recycling program is to determine the quantities and types of recyclable waste that are in your waste stream. This is a pretty sophisticated way to go about it, and it will give you the most accurate results. This is one of our staff people at the city, Terry Dill. So this is basically out of the same dumpster that we showed you, and he's sorting the recyclable materials into different categories. You know, Ben's going to set him straight here.
Well, there's some passerby there getting into the act, I guess.
Yeah. Ben learned a lot about what could be recycled.
I sure did, yeah.
So you see that he's got white paper, colored paper are two different markets. Cardboard, what Ben is holding there is actually called boxboard, which is a little bit different than cardboard. Magazines is a different stream. And you notice that there's even some beverage containers, plastics and bottles, and like this water bottle that Ben's found here, that are brought in by employees, for lunch and snacks, and they end up in the commercial waste stream, not in as big a quantities as in the residential waste stream. The biggest thing, as you can see here, is paper. And again, keep in mind that this business has a recycling program. So we're not even capturing everything with their recycling program. It's ended up in the garbage. These things, once in the garbage container, once they got to the Smart, we would pull out what we were able to pull out. But the paper especially would get, contaminated by the wet waste that is in there.
Why is he weighing this?
Okay. After you get each one sorted out, you weigh each type of material, and you can record those weights. Then you extrapolate those numbers to your entire waste stream, and it gives you an idea of the quantity of materials that you generate. Now that's going to be important in determining which of the city programs it's going to be best for you to participate in.
You can tell how much money you're going to save or something.
Right. And the way the city has designed the programs that we're going to be offering businesses, normally larger quantities of higher value can be collected by certain haulers, whereas lower quantities are collected by the city's contractor. So in this instance, this is called a waste characterization study or a waste audit. This is one of the, like I said, the more sophisticated ways to do it, more complicated, but it gives you the most accurate results. It depends on what. In this way, too, you can determine each material type and what could be possible revenues that you would get paid for that material.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to, those are magazines, I guess. Yeah. And this would be the mixed paper, I guess. There's a
Yeah, file folders.
And there's odds and ends in there. Yeah. Well, that's interesting, Bonnie. I guess we've already answered partly, but why is it important for businesses to get into recycling? You know, we'll be talking to our guests tonight in a little bit, but what do you say when somebody say why is it important?
Well, the biggest thing for businesses, of course, is the disposal savings that they're going to realize, and I think our guests will talk to us about that, how much you can save in having your garbage hauled away. One of the reasons it's important to the city is because of state legislation that was enacted in 1990. Basically, this legislation told cities and counties that they have to recycle 25% of their trash by the year 1995 and 50% of their trash by the year 2000.
Well, the graphs that you brought with you tonight are going to talk about that? I see. Yeah, well, shall we show those now?
Yes.
You ready to do that? Yeah, we'll look at some graphs in a moment, but keep talking.
Okay.
So.
In Mountain View, the percentage of the waste stream is shown here on this graph. This is the total waste generated in Mountain View, and as you can see, businesses account for 58% of that waste.
Yeah.
And of that, this kind of shows you in the residential sector, we're recycling a pretty good portion of, it's about 17% of that. But in the business sector, we still have 40% of the waste stream that isn't being recycled. And in order to hit the 50% goals that we have to reach in the year 2000, we need a lot more from businesses, about 24%. So the city is really trying to encourage and ask businesses to help us to reach these goals. The fines, as stated in the law, are $10,000 a day for not reaching these recycling goals.
Who pays that? The city?
The
or
city.
You?
The city pays it.
Okay. Just kidding.
Or they'll cut my salary.
Just kidding. Well, you got 35% to go then. Isn't it?
Right.
If you're 85% the businesses don't recycle now, I guess, or 85% of the waste stream or something like that.
Right.
And so there's 35 to go.
Yeah, we reached our 1995 goal of 25%. We exceeded that. We're actually diverting about 30%. That's mostly from the residential waste stream, and so now it's time to get businesses involved.
Fine. Your office has information about this, obviously, or we wouldn't be here talking about it. How do people go about doing that? And for the waste audit that you mentioned, how's that happen? And how can I get a folder like that?
Good. We developed this information. I think we have a close-up of it as well. As we were talking earlier, when you saw Terry doing the waste characterization study and Ben was helping him sort the materials out, one of the things that's in this packet of information is a do-it-yourself waste audit guide. Basically, it's a simpler way to do what Ben and Terry were doing. This does a series of worksheets that businesses can work through on their own, and these worksheets help you to determine the quantities of materials that you generate and what kind of revenues you might be able to gain from it. So this is a more paperwork kind of way to do what we did in the parking lot.
That shouldn't scare people off, though. I mean, it's not a big operation, is it?
It's very simple to do, and the city staff will provide technical assistance to help you fill these out and help you to determine what your program is. Once you make that determination, then the rest of the information in our guide is what's going to be important for you. We have an explanation of the different types of programs that are available for small, medium, and large businesses. We have usually, when we developed the program, what was important, we met with businesses of all sizes in the city, and we found that each type of business had different needs. Large businesses pretty much wanted to be left alone to do what they were doing. It makes sense to them, it makes bottom line sense to their budget to recycle.
Like a manufacturer or something like that?
Right, or here in Mountain View, Silicon Graphics, Sun Microsystems, they've had existing recycling programs for a long time because it makes sense to them. Those businesses want to continue to do what they're doing. So we've licensed several companies that can come into the city and collect. It's an open free market, and we ask that businesses try to use one of the licensees that is licensed with the City of Mountain View to collect these materials. Medium businesses sometimes have enough quantity of materials to get a licensee involved, and sometimes they don't. And small businesses, of course, is a continual problem. With very small quantities, it's expensive to collect the materials. So we have a couple of exciting pilot programs that we're going to start where small businesses can actually curbside recycle just like residents do. Or they can do cooperative recycling programs where a cluster of businesses will share one recycling bin. That way we get materials gathered together, and it makes sense then.
Yeah.
So this packet of information explains all of that, provides some information about how to reduce the waste so that you don't have to worry about what to do with it in the first place. We're developing a association called the Business to Business Link, in which businesses can provide mentoring to each other.
You mean if I'm a new business and I'm doing something like Raphael is doing,
Right.
I can go talk to him?
Right.
He might be a mentor someday? Or,
Right.
Yeah. He has to sign up to be a mentor,
Yes.
doesn't he?
I'm
Otherwise,
waiting
I
for
shouldn't
his
bother him, or-
application.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, well, let's see. What else do we need to know?
I think at this point,
You can find out how much money you're going to save by doing the audit.
Right.
Okay. All righty. You know how to get one of these things? They walk into City Hall and go to the Public Works Department?
We'll be
office,
showing
or
a
how do you-
number at
Okay.
the end of the program
And
that you
people
can call the
that.
city.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else you need to know here. I'd like to talk to Stephanie. Or do you want to do that yet, or should we get something else we need to do?
No, I think we can talk to Stephanie. I was just going to mention that the city held a kickoff rally in early December.
Last December?
Invited all the businesses to come, and one of the people from Stephanie's office attended that rally, got our information packet, and she has since successfully pitted two of our licensees against each other to get a program designed that really works for her business.
Is that competition or what?
Well, and we found it very successful because the information that you provided and your staff has enabled us to basically cut down our garbage costs in half.
In half?
And surprisingly to us, when we went to that rally, there were tenants from our building that actually said to us, why aren't we doing this right now? So it kind of put us in the spot of saying we were really behind the eight ball, and we needed to be more environmentally sound and proactive than we really were. So via that, wonderful seminar that everyone put on, we got the information and the resources from you to start our program. And it's been very, very successful. The tenants are happy. We've promoted it basically by telling them what our costs were and the amount of dollars that they're saving, and it's in thousands. So it's a win-win situation.
How many businesses are in your building?
We have around 70 different tenants, and a lot of them are in the computer industry, so of course we generate a lot of white paper. And as everybody knows, white paper is a valuable commodity, so I would say a good portion of our savings is in the paper alone and the cardboard, that comes just from everyday manufacturing and appliances or computers that are delivered on site. So via that, our garbage has literally been cut in half.
So that means your cost has been cut in half.
Absolutely, yes.
Great. If I'm a tenant in a building such as yours, but not your building, would it be the best thing for me to do to go to my you're not a landlord, I guess you're a manager of that facility. So if I should go to the manager of the facility and ask about recycling? Or
Absolutely.
Is that the way I should do it?
We work for the landlord.
Uh-huh.
I would suggest that you go to the management company, seek out the management company, and tell them that you want a more proactive recycling program, or probably, as in our case, we had none. There were tenants that were using outside unlicensed haulers. And via that, we basically said to the unlicensed people, you can't operate in here anymore. We now have a program, and we brought licensed haulers in.
How about that? Good.
Which has been great.
Yeah. Raphael, you have an interesting combination of things. You have the bookstore, which generates one kind of waste, and the cafe, or I guess the coffee shop, that generates another kind. So tell us about what you found out in your operation with the recycling for that combination.
It is two very different businesses, and the bookstore where the waste that we generate is primarily what I would call clean waste: cardboard, newspaper, stuff that's not dirty. And so if it's easy to recycle, it gets recycled. And the key there is easy. If it's not easy to recycle, then unfortunately it gets tossed in the dumpster. And at the moment we have a lot of newspaper, a lot of cardboard that gets recycled by a licensed hauler who comes by on a weekly basis. The restaurant's different. It's a different kind of garbage. Some of it is garbage, trash, wet waste. And but given the kind of restaurant it is, there's not many cans, not much glass compared to other locations. So it's an awkward one there, because even if you wanted to recycle, the fact that there's so little waste or product being generated, it's hard to. I mean, you don't want to keep it around the restaurant until you have enough to recycle.
That's where one of the co-op programs might be good, don't you think?
That's exactly what it's designed for, because it, just like in Stephanie's building, each of those 70 small companies alone couldn't have done much, but when they grouped together, they were able to get, a hauler interested in their product. So what we hope to do, one of the pilot areas for the co-op recycling program will be in the downtown Castro area, and what we hope to do is to locate one of the bins, and that way you have a convenient way to put those small quantities of cans and bottles and, the newspapers that are awkward for you to deal with now.
Well, Raphael, you told me before that we were talking about the employees' motivation for this. Tell us a little bit about your experiences there. You told me some surprises.
Well, actually, almost as in Stephanie's case, I was pushed into recycling because it's easy to throw the stuff away. You just put it in a dumpster, you close your eyes, it's out of sight, out of mind. But when your employees come up to you and tell you you're a bad person because you're not recycling, you have to listen.
I like that, yeah.
And it's not that much. Certain kinds of recycling isn't hard to do. I mean, for us, the newspapers and the cardboard are very easy because they get picked up once a week. White paper, we don't generate as much. And if I were to be serious about recycling white paper, I probably have to save it for about a month until I have enough quantity to do it. And that means having a stack of paper around the house or around the store. And it's those awkward areas that I think you have to make it easier to recycle. White paper for us, the small amounts of cans. I'm trying to think in my mind right now what things can be recycled. And
well, let's talk to Jim, see what he's found out along those lines, because you're in the restaurant business with several stores, one of which is in Mountain View, right?
Yes.
And so what's your experience been with this? Tell us all.
We kind of got into it just like Raphael. We were pushed, but not really pushed by employees, but healthy, conscious customers, because we try to sell a healthy product. And when we serve things in a non-recyclable container, we got a lot of feedback on that. So that's what prompted the whole idea. And as we looked into it more, we found out we could save close to 1% or even more than that on our gross sales in recycling. And that was a considerable amount of savings over the year. And through the recycling program at Mountain View, we've managed to cut our garbage down in half, much like Stephanie here.
Is it hard to convince an employee sometime to do the little extra work for that?
It's a routine, and the person that instigates the program has to really push it and promote it, just like anything else in the workplace. Anything we try to do new, I'm sure Raphael has the same problem, that if you're not behind it fully, it just won't follow through, and it never takes off. So
it took
off quite well.
Yeah. Well, I'm pleased about that. And it's also interesting, I think, that your customers
Yeah.
felt it was important to do. I think our time is running pretty low now, Bonnie. I want to know if there's anything else we've forgotten. Anybody know of anything we've forgotten here to touch on with this? We got to put the telephone numbers
Right,
out now
we're going to be
because we
showing
want,
the phone numbers
people
and
to see that.
Right. The city is serious about getting these programs online. It's a 3-year implementation program, but we encourage you to call the city number there. If you're a Mountain View resident but you work in another city in Santa Clara County and you want to find out what business recycling programs they may have, we're showing you the county recycling hotline number there. This is staffed by San Jose State University students, and they can tell you who to contact in the city where your business is located and find out what kind of recycling is provided in other cities. But in the city of Mountain View, we encourage you to call us. We'd be pleased to send you information. We'd be pleased to send staff out to provide technical assistance for you to help you develop your program.
That the county number again is sort of a networking thing and give you something information from out of town, whereas you're looking at the city number will give you
Right.
the word here, the information that you need here. And have you called this number, anybody, or you got into it before the number existed?
Even before,
Yeah.
yeah. I think if I weren't recycling, I could probably cut about 25% off my garbage fee because I'm probably throwing a dumpster a week. If what I recycle would equal to a dumpster load a week.
Okay, well it's the bottom line is save money for your business, isn't it? And also do something for the landfill. Well, we're just about out of time, and I want you to know that it's been a pleasure talking trash with you all. And thank you for being with us, Bonnie and Raphael and Stephanie and Jim. And thank you for watching City View and supporting your community television station. Good night. And call recycling. Yes.